Did you see any changes in how clerks were selected from when you were, perhaps applying for clerkship yourself, or when you were a judge, when you could select clerks, and now maybe now a little bit in distance observing how clerkships, it's sort of like being selected and formed in a private practice.
It's a complicated and nuanced question, right? So if the question is, has the clerkship selection process changed? The answer is yes, but what's more important in determining that is, how has the judicial selection process changed, right? So if you look at the process when my judge became a judge in 76, the judiciary was by and large still white male, right? So he was a judge in the Southern District of New York. At that time, there were 4 African American judges in the building. 2 that I recall, I could be wrong, but 2 that I can recall in the Southern District. Constance Baker Motley, who became the first woman in the Southern District of New York in 1966, and Amalia Kearse, the second in the building. She's the first on the Second Circuit. And Robert Carter was on the district court as well, and a person named Lawrence Pierce was on the Second Circuit. When I was applying, as I recall, I could be wrong, but as I recall, they were the only 4. And, they were trying to choose the best persons that they could, and some of them were more focused on diversity than others. But I think that at that time, there were not that many clerks who would be Accord members. And I mean that across the broadest spectrum of Accord and Pride for that matter. I think, 42 years later, I know in my own selection process, I was very deliberate. I wanted diversity. I demanded it of myself because the judicial clerk selection process is intensely personal. You can't tell your colleagues, you must hire more women. You must hire more people who fall within Accord. You must hire, people within every sphere of diversity. That's a personal decision. Now, I did embrace it, and I think it would be a real test to find somebody under the umbrella of Pride and Accord that I didn't hire. I'm sure there is something. I can't imagine. I've been all over Southeast Asia, the Far East, the Near East, so I've had different folks, but I've been deliberate about it. And not everybody is. And I don't think I can tell my colleagues, you must. I mean, I think that's improper. Every colleague is making their own decision, and they have to make it that in a way that is consonant with their own set of moral and ethical standards, and keeping in mind that here's the one key point I think that needs to be made. When I was coming up, a lot of the argument against diversity was, I can't find qualified candidates. I want to, but I can't find qualified candidates. We don't need to spend much time on whether that was true then. Clearly today, no one can say, I cannot find a qualified African American. I cannot find a qualified Asian female. I cannot find a Hispanic male or whatever the case may be. There is talent within every nook and cranny of the diversity umbrella, and it's really up to the judge's own decision making whether they choose to extend offers, embrace diversity, and so forth.